All right. I guess we'll just open this up for questions um, for Coach. So whoever wants to go first. It looks like Kellis has raised his hand. He's got his proper Zoom protocol going. So go ahead, Kellis. And if you
COVID,
guys just
man.
want to identify yourself and who you're with, and then we'll go from there and then ask your question.
Yeah, see, I I retaught myself how to do it after the last Zoom. So, well, hey Matt, Kellis Robinair here with the Kansas City Star. I talked with you a year or two ago on the phone for a story, if you remember, uh, about all
Yes,
you Scott Drew guys
yes,
and
yes,
everything. Thanks for that, by the way.
absolutely.
Welcome to Kansas State. I guess my first question for you is, Jerome in his release was really raving about your skills as an offensive coach. What are the main priorities you're gonna stress with these guys that you really want out of an offense?
Well, first of all, thank you for the welcome. Second of all, and it's not your fault or anybody's fault, but I would prefer to be called Matthew. My mom passed away, and since she passed away, I've really tried to honor that. And so nobody knows that, but I just might as well bring that up now. The one thing that is crazy is when I got the job, they hired me because I was from Larry Shiat's tree and Scott Drew's tree. And I was kind of a split down the middle. I was a defensive guy and I was an offensive guy. And so with Coach Drew, you can really do a lot of things. You can really score the ball well. You can do those things. And then from Coach Shiat's tree, we beat Belmont in our first year, 45-43. And now we score 45 points and a half. And so with the offense, what happened was I really got inundated because when you get to this level, you really want to look at different things. Some people say, you know, comparison is the thief of joy, which I don't agree with. I think envy and jealousy is. And so when I looked at Belmont, who beat us in a tournament in 2011, I said to myself, okay, what can we do at this level? Even though we got certain restrictions from an academia standpoint and whatnot, recruiting, what can we do? And I knew if we did what Belmont did and we opened up the floor. So when Coach Bird left the league, I went and met with him and his staff. Our staff went and met with them, and I learned some nuances. And then I took those nuances and I began to grow them. And what I began to find out is when you have complete pressure on the rim at a constant level, rolling and replacing, cutting and replacing, multiple cuts to replace. When you do that, you create an amazing space. And I think what happens is a lot of people, when they talk about pace, space, and embrace, which is what we do, and why we're always one of the best offensive teams in the country, what it creates is it creates the opportunity to you to have two gaps. When you have two gaps, you can really put the ball and put pressure on the rim. So people think when you become a great 3-point shooting team, it's twofold. Number one, you got to have players. Like at the end of the day, players make plays. There's no doubt about it. But when you have multiple guys, sometimes five, but usually four for us, when you have that on the floor, it naturally causes that particular space. So therefore, the pressure on the rim is greater. If you look at our numbers, they're not as far off as you think as far as layups and dunks and threes. Now, this year was a little bit higher, almost 1,200 3 points attempt. The year before was about 1150-ish or something like that. But usually it was almost 50-50 because people are going to start guarding us differently. And they're going to start guarding us with a mentality because you get really concerned about the three, which opens up that lane. And now you can get drop offs. Now you can get late kick one mores. And now you can get those different scenarios that present themselves. And so as I learned that and grew through that, just like you watch on Twitter, I laugh a lot because we've been doing this for so long and have had so much success over the last decade. But a lot of people are starting to say, look at this, look at this, look at this. And we just came upon it as happenstance, where things just kind of, the COVID word was organic. Remember, everybody was talking about organically things were happening. Well, it organically starts to happen. And so as our guys begin to understand that and our guys continue what they did last year, I watched all their offensive stuff. And of course, I watched so many of your guys' games as I did Baylor and Texas Tech, and of course, obviously the same league. So had a really good feel for what your league was doing and for the way in which they were doing it. And so I feel like if we continue to just change just some minor things, but continue to get better players and continue to help them understand that synergy. Because when you have it, stuff just happens. And when stuff happens, you get stuff. And when you get stuff, now it becomes even that much more beautiful. So that's kind of how it unfolded.
Okay. And what was it about this opportunity right now that made you willing to give up a head coaching job and go be a lead assistant again?
So it's interesting. I thought that question was going to come up today, and it didn't. I think very few people realize there's only 364 of these, according to Ken Palm. And if you're able to get one of these, hold one of these, especially for 16 years, and then all of a sudden walk away from a 3-year contract, a 2-year extension, when you've only been 500 the last 2 years. Now, our athletic director also knows why. He also knows that because of NIL and because of some things that we don't have and what our guys have been able to get, Chaz Lanier, I mean, the amount of money that Chaz got, and now this year, the kid at Purdue, 2 at Indiana, and then the other kid got really paid well at East Tennessee State. So this level is going to completely be imploded. And I think some of the new guys, I don't know the roster well, but I know it enough. Some of the new guys that possibly could be coming in are coming from levels of school like this as well, too. So I think I don't want to call them farm systems because I don't think it's fair to us, meaning this level. But I think this is going to be a natural trend that's going to continue to come. So when I was going through this, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Just go to the NBA or just put my name out there or just walk away and maybe go do radio show or go do stuff here. It never was really clear to me that it was time to go. But on April 3rd, to my face, Coach Tang made it very clear, intentionally through prayer and me intentionally. And so because of that, even all the people that I had for him, I had some ideas for him. Think about this guy, think about this guy. And Coach, I want you. And specifically why is because of our 6 years at Baylor, which in his own words turned into the whole time he was at Baylor, because what we did and the way in which we did it, if you can imagine what was going on there. And so it resonated. And I was the oldest guy on staff. Here's Coach Tang, a high school coach coming in. Coach Mills at Wichita State was a high school coach coming in. Coach Drew was 31 going on 32. Coach Moorfield was young. And so as the old guy on staff, it was really something special for me to help those guys grow and learn and mentor and pour into. And so that's really another part of the excitement for me. When you take something like this, I start thinking about, okay, you've done this, you've done that, you've won, all that kind of stuff as a head coach, great. But now here's an opportunity to pour into a bunch of young people as well, too, and help them because they want to be head coaches, that they want to sit in this seat. And so there's a lot of levels to it. And obviously to be with Coach Island is my goddaughter and their family. Obviously, our wives are very, very, very connected through a lot of different scenarios, not just the 6 years there. So it's a lot more than just, coming in for offense or coming in for basketball. It's got a lot of layers.
All right. Well, thanks, Matthew, and welcome to town again.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. Go ahead, D. Scott.
Coach Driscoll, my name is Scott Fritch, and I'm with the Kansas State Athletic Department. You'll see a lot of me. How are you doing?
Thank you. Doing well. I like the hat.
Thank you so
Is that
much.
a Kangol or what do we got?
I don't know. My dad gave it to me a long time ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wears these
That's
hats.
interesting. Well, it looks great on you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. First off, when you think of Coach Tang, what comes to mind?
First thing that comes to mind is a servant.
Mm-hmm.
His heart is just so pure. He just is so genuine. And he really, really understands that the greatest gift in life is the gift of giving. And when you have that mentality and you have that persona about yourself, it can really resonate in a lot of different ways. And that was one of the things about Coach when he came on his interview. And then, of course, when Coach Drew went to his house to have dinner, you could just tell that he cares for people like so much. And he really wants the best, whether it's for Bailey or whether it's for the staff, or whether it's for, Brandon, the maintenance guy in the building, or whether it's for whomever it's for,
Mhm.
his own children, or me. And it's something that's always resonated, and something I thought, man, and help me become better. I mean, you always want to try to be better, and you want to better yourself, and so because of that, he's always been so. And the other thing too about Coach, and I think you guys probably know this, he has tremendous confidence in who he is. And
Mhm.
I think one of the hardest things at this level is to have a thick face and understand that criticism from someone you never asked for their opinion is irrelevant. And he really has a great confidence about himself and the way in which he presents, the way in which he moves through it, and then probably more importantly, his follow-up and the way in which he reacts to what's going on. And I think that confidence just continues to just move throughout, whether it be the team, whether it be the huddle, whether it be the moment, or whether it be your department or the community. All right, man, happiness is a really, really neat place. I enjoyed my short time up there a couple weeks ago, and so I'm really, really, really thankful for Coach, for him being in my life. But he's got a servant's heart.
When you think of K-State basketball, what comes to mind?
Spalding. I should have went for 3. He made that 3 in a corner. He did not make a 3. We were just on the cusp. We had a really, really special team. We played you guys 3 consecutive years. And then he made that 3, and then we went for 2 and we made it, and went to overtime. And then at this level, when you get paid that much money, and I'm not saying anybody did something like cheated. That's not my point. But I should have went for the win in regulation. And if we missed it, we lose. If we make it, we go away with a nice check and a dub. And we just couldn't overcome the free throws in the overtime. And so when I think of Kansas State basketball, I think of Spalding. I'm sorry, number 55. I don't know how to say his name. 55, whatever.
Will Spradling?
Bradling, 55,
Okay.
Bradling. Yeah, I know the number. I know numbers. I'm not great with names. It was in the right corner. Oh man, it was only one oh man. No. Not
Okay.
not the answer you were looking for, I'm sure.
I didn't expect Will Spradling to come up today. One other question, just after 16 incredible seasons like you've had.
Hey, can I add one more thing?
Please do.
During the game, I used to wear a Baylor ring, the championship ring, because I always wanted to encourage the guys to what we're trying to do, right? And during that game, something happened, and it was so cold that when I went like this, the ring came off and flew across the floor. But because of that, after that game, I decided, you know what? I probably shouldn't wear this ring anymore. It's probably not that important. And when everybody asks me, I'll say, Baylor was Baylor, yesterday's history. Like UNF is what it's all about. So when we win a championship, and so every time we won a championship, I always wore the ring from that year. And I just took it off after this year because I had a 5-year window. And so it was the 5th year we had won a championship. So I took it off, and I told the media I'm not wearing a ring until we win another one. So anyways, a flying ring came off too.
So you've had 16 great years there.
Thank you.
I'm curious what you have learned most about yourself during your time.
It's really, really important to do what my dad said. No matter how people are treating you, to always treat people with amazing kindness and be gracious. And so many people are walking around with so many different things going on in their life that sometimes we forget that they're humans and we're humans. And so I really, really, a bullseye's greatest bang for your buck is in the center. And I really, really, every single thing I do, I'm very purposeful. I have great intention. And I've really lived up to that, to my father who's not with us. And I lived up to what what it stood for, and like your hat, like what it stood for in our family. And so it's, when you start seeing these text messages and you start hearing these stories and you start you always love to hear your eulogy, right? And so like you start getting all this stuff and you say to yourself, you know what? Well done. Well done. And so I'm really grateful that I've had the opportunity to listen to some of this because I'm not good at that. It's not one of my greatest characteristics. And so I'm thankful that I've understood and that I've lived up to how my father would want me to live my life.
Thank you.
By the way, I got like 4 or 5 more Kansas State stories that are you just brought all kind of stuff to my brain, by the way. Heck, hey, remember at Baylor, when you had Beasley and
Walker,
they had 75 against us and we scored 92. And one day we played you up there and they were chanting Rogaine, Rogaine. Because remember, your student body used to be behind our bench. And I went in and I was saying, I kept saying, we got to stay the course. We got to stay the course. We got to stay the course. And next, your students were in the huddles and they were like, you got to stay the course. You got to stay the course. And it was like, your students were amazing. So your students used to give me the business.
Okay. Awesome. Who wants to jump in next for questions, guys? Oops.
There we go.
There we go. Go ahead, Mitch.
Hey, I just want to, Coach, just kind of pick your brain on, just kind of some of the things we've seen K-State struggle with over the last couple of years when it just comes to shot selection or maybe fixing a shooter's confidence. When you're trying to fix a shooter, what's maybe the most challenging part about that?
You're asking the right guy. When in doubt, should always be in doubt, right? So how do you help them understand that? Because sometimes people say to me all the time, what color light do you have? Red, green, yellow? Like, how do you determine a shot selection? And I said, no, it's neon. And they're like, neon? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, when you're open and you're in rhythm, like you got to release, like you got to understand what that looks like and how that looks. And so there's a lot to that. And there's a lot that goes into that. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about confidence, Chaz Lanier is the greatest example. You don't win the Jerry West Award on accident. But for us, he only averaged 5 points a game back-to-back years. How do you go to 20 a game and become the most efficient player in the country? Well, number one is you have great confidence. And how do you get that confidence? Because coach continues to pour into you that this is what you do, this is how you do it, but you've got to continue to believe in it and see the results and reap what you sow, so to speak. And so because of that, whether it be through drill, whether it be through video, whether it be through conversation, whether it be through discipline, which is a commitment, and then it leads to consistency, because that's how you make great shooters. If a great shooter is disciplined, committed, and consistent, name me a great shooter that's not disciplined, committed, and consistent. Because at the end of the day, you want to take one shot. You don't want to take 3 different shots. And so how can you get them to be locked and loaded? How can you get them to understand rhythm release? How can you get them to know butt down, fingers up? How can you get them to understand what those things look like? Because if you don't have base and finish, it's hard for your preparation to arrive at the opportunity to create the success. Because A squared plus B squared is C squared. But if you're missing A or B, you can't get to C. So that, when you look at, Kansas State earlier in the question, or you look at what's ahead, like we've got to make sure guys understand that, I'll give you a great example. We track potential assists. And I know it's crazy. We've been tracking it for years, but Florida got all this shine this year because they do it. I forget what they call it, a victory assist or something like that. And like a hockey assist is what it used to be called. And so, when the hockey assist comes into play, or potential assist, and we love potential assists, which means everything's on time, on target, but the guy missed a shot. And so when you track that or you coach that, it also shows shot selection, when you need to throw it, how much on time, on target matters. And the other thing too is practicing bad pass shots. Like every pass isn't going to be perfect. So how good are you at moving your body? How good of you are changing your basically your course on the floor? And so all those things come together. So it's that timing, it's that understanding. And so we need to help these guys understand that, like everybody, like for example, how do you create what you want to create? Because everybody want to get to the same level. Well, if you want to get to the same level, then there's no way, there's no doubt. The only way to do it is if you're all connected. And so if we can get them connected, playing with synergy, and help them understand that esprit de score, that esprit de corps that they're going to have, that spirit they're going to have, the ball has energy. And energy always going to find the open player. But when it does, are you ready? So shot selection sometimes is really like, I'll give you a good example, is sometimes like, let's say when Doug or when Coleman or number 2, I forget his name, Jones, I think, number 2, like when those guys got the ball and should have taken shots, but they didn't. So now the clock winds down, you get to the next possession, and basically the best shot was at 15 seconds. And so now the clock gets down, things get closer, the red zone becomes tighter, and now the shot selection becomes a little bit more hurried or becomes a little bit more forced, so to speak. And so we have to understand that sometimes early in the clock, transition kick aheads, and sometimes those are the shots that we need to take. And that's where we've always been so good, is helping guys understand that passing up a really good shot. Now, passing up a good shot is completely different based on the clock. And so the clock determines that as well, too. So I think from watching them, I think part of it is just the ball, that energy, finding it at the appropriate time. And then the other thing is guys being locked and loaded and ready, that when the ball, and that's another thing too. And you this will resonate with you a lot if you paid attention in every game. Also, to being closer to the line and not always being so deep, where now that shot becomes a little bit deeper. And like anything else in life, Steph Curry's an outlier. So the deeper you go, percentages change. And so do you want to toe the line all the time? No. But do you want to be as close to the line as you possibly can? Of course. And so again, moving up and getting in those areas, I think those things are really critical. That timing is really critical to having a great shooting team and the ability to score the ball.
Mitch Fortner, by the way, from K-Man Radio here in Manhattan. So just one more that's off the floor a little bit. Well, so I do the public address announcing, and this year Tang allowed all the players to have their own songs. So to get to know you a little bit, if it was you in the starting lineup, what song would you pick as your walkout song?
That's a great question. What song would I pick? There's a lot that already came to mind. Most of them are Christian artists. However, I've always been a Thunderstruck guy. I mean, Thunderstruck has always been, there's something about that song. There's energy about that song. There's something that really gets you going with that song. And it doesn't really resonate maybe specifically to me, but it's always been something that it's always resonated going out. But always loved that song. So I guess that.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. Welcome to K-State.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Fitz.
Coach Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com, 24/7 Sports. So what's your schedule? When will you be arriving Manhattan, and do you know what your first duties will be?
Thank you for asking that question. It looks like right now we're set up to get in the weekend prior to the start of summer school, which would be Monday the 9th. So I'm not sure exactly if it means drive 5, 6, be there 6, or drive, 6, 7, be there 7 or something like that. But somewhere in that range, that's what what we're striving for. It's actually, Tim, it's been a crazy situation that I didn't address today. My wife and I have been separate. No, I shouldn't say that word. My wife and I have been apart from each other for almost 2 weeks because she went over to Italy to chaperone 10 students, 3 student athletes as part of a UNF situation. She got back last night at 7 o'clock at night. And so the press conference was this morning at 10. And so when I went to Vegas to be with Coach Tang, we spoke together at a speaking engagement. He was out there for Coaches versus Cancer. I know they raised a lot of money for Kansas State, which was great. But also, too, Chaz Lanier, who's going to be a draft pick, was out there. So that 9 hours was really hard. So the best case scenario, I think, is we get in on the 6th. And the worst case scenario is I believe we'll get in on the 7th.
Do you know what you'll be doing when you arrive?
A lot. Only because, see, I know everybody on staff. And so, like, I know Coach Peterson and I are older. And so I know the one thing that I'm really good at, and I say this from a humble heart. The one thing I know that I'm really good at is serving. And like the one thing I've always done is, and with Coach Drew and Coach Shyatt, is it's the utmost importance to me to make sure that whatever it is that they need or they need to have or they don't realize they need to have. And so to be proactive and forward thinking and all those kind of things. And I've always thought one of the greatest strengths I have as an assistant. And so I know there's going to be a lot of moving parts. And I think when I was there for a short time, a couple of weeks ago, I was helping Bailey move some water. And I asked her about, you need some help with the camp balls, and went down and helped move weights. I think I still got you can see the little bruise on my arm right there from helping Phil move some weights. And so like many hands make light work. And so I'm all about that. So I think it's going to be a lot because of the moving parts with people leaving, new people coming in, and of course a completely revamped roster. And I just get there. So it is what it is. It's probably the best way to do it.
Thank you, Coach. Welcome to K-State.
Go ahead, John.
Coach, welcome to K-State. I'm part of a student radio station on campus.
Oh, sweet.
Both you and your son Chase, the new director of video and analytics, joining K-State after working together in North Florida. What does it mean to you and to your family to make the transition together? And how do you see professional relationships evolving now that you're both on the staff?
Let's go back a second, John, because I want to share something with you. There's a guy named Ryan Hennessy, and Ryan Hennessy just went from the 21st market in the country and just became a lead anchor back here in town because he wanted to come back to Jacksonville. He was here, and he wanted to have a radio show, and so I did the radio show, and he wanted to have a TV, and we did a weekly TV, and he just had a great passion for wanting to do what you do. And to his credit, he used his free will to make sure that he continued to expound upon that. And so just so you know, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. And I'm really thankful that you're on this call and grateful that you've asked me that question. So twofold. Number one, my son played for us, and he was on the team during our 2 championships. And when my son was on the team, he was a walk-on, and he wasn't a very good player. But what he was an incredible teammate and a really, really great human being. And I knew that he's always wanted to coach. Coach Donovan was great at Florida and allowed him to talk to his son, who was a walk-on. And so they really figured it out what it could be like in the locker room, or when players are saying your dad's an a-hole, and sometimes he would say, yeah, I agree. He is an a-hole sometimes. And so like that part of it was huge. He got run over by a car, hit by a car when he was 14, coming down to shoot with one of our Hall of Fame players, and had major surgery on his arm. And so he just was different. And he still was 5'8". It wasn't like he was going to be a Division I player. But one day of practice, we only had 9 guys, scholarship guys, for almost a 10-day period. And at 5'8", he had to play the forward. And so he could do everything on the floor. He knew every position from 1 through 5. And so I have a picture. It's probably in his office, maybe, I don't know. But he wrote plays up when he was a little kid. And we kept them, and we actually gave it to him when he got his first, college coaching job at Oral Robertson when he was with Coach Mills. And so he's been through the family. He's worked for Coach Mills, obviously. He has an incredible knack for video. I really think he's really good at everything, quite frankly. I mean, you're a JV coach at a school that has 58 players at Weber. You learn how to do a lot. They had one locker for 4 teams. How about that one? One locker for 4 teams. And so they broke the locker up into 4 places, depending on what team you're on. And so if you learn that, if you know that, you know what to do. And so here, because of nepotism, I wasn't allowed to be in charge of them. And because of that, I wasn't. I didn't overstep my bounds. I didn't do I now if there was a situation with anybody, I was going to address it because I'm the head coach. And that was really cool because I thought it was really good for our transition, but I also thought it was better for him because all the other guys on staff, were people that could really pour into him, which they did. But he's got this neat knack, and a lot of guys that have been with us. And one of our guys we just brought back from Wichita State. One of our guys just went to Wichita State. We got other managers that are other places. Dustin Kearns, the head coach at App State, was our manager. Will Wade was our manager at Clemson. So I've been through West Law. I've been through a lot of guys that have been managers. And so Chase really loved the game. He really loved. He knows players. He knows the inside of the locker room. He knows their mindset. He knows what championships look like. And so because of that, I really, really think he brings a lot more to the table than maybe you guys or even Coach Tang. Now, obviously, Coach has known him since he was a little kid and he was a ball boy and all those things. But I've always tried to help Chase get involved with our family as well. Get a GA, get a director of basketball operations. We almost had him in that situation last year at FAU. And so I've always tried to help him, and the thing about this is, my heart was really being torn toward the late part of April. And Coach Tang knew, like, at the end of the day, like, things are things. And so the situation with Chase was amazing. And it's because of his niche and because of what he's special at. And so I love some things he's already done because I've talked to him. And I know he's really, really poured into, I guess, some different recruiting things that have transpired and what's transpired with some of that. Because I think sometimes in recruiting, everybody thinks it's about the main guy and the guy that was making the call and all those kind of things, when in reality, recruiting is about family. Lace Darius Dunn was the greatest scorer, and he really put it on Kansas State one night. Greatest scorer in the history of Big 12 basketball until Buddy Hield passed it, and he fell in love with Coach Mills. And so I think he has the ability sometimes to do those things and to connect with different people because of what he's been through and all that. So it's great. Obviously, my grandson is going to be there. You guys are going to love my wife. She used to be the cheerleading coach at Wyoming and was the cheerleading coach here as well, too. But she's out of that world. She's just finishing her master's, and she was the academic. She's been an academic counselor for athletics here for 10 some years. And I'm not sure what she's going to do. She didn't do men's basketball, but we did have a 3.59 last semester. But she didn't do men's basketball. But I think the whole family, I think you guys will really understand that we really are excited for Manhattan and for the campus. I know you guys have a Catholic church on campus, which we did at Baylor as well, too. And so we'll really be connected in a lot of different ways. And so I think I went in a different direction, but that's the answer for my son.
Oh, it was going to lead me into my next question. How do you plan on engaging with the Manhattan community and the K-State fan base as you settle into your new role as well?
Well, happy hippie. I like that joint because they got really good acai. I know Colt's Barbecue, and we went and got these small plates at a place. And I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I had some sliders. They have like some duck egg fries. So the small time, I love the Walmart. I tell you what's interesting. The parking spaces are bigger, I think. And my daughter-in-law said, yeah, like it's because of trucks. And maybe that's the answer. I don't know. But I'm a Dunkin' Donut guy, and I know you guys just got one. And I say just got one. You guys didn't have one the first couple times we played you. It drove me nuts. And so I'm a big Dunkin' Donut guy. I love the coffee. I'll be there every day. And so I know there's just so many great things there. And I was surprised how much bigger the city really is. But at the end of my little bit of days there, it really wasn't as big as I thought it was. Way more hills than I anticipated. The good news is I can't run anymore. I used to be a big runner. I need a new hip. So I now have gotten into walking. And so that's cool. And so, and the other thing is, you got to get used to potholes again. And so I didn't, I forgot about the snow and the salt and all those kind of different things when you live where I live. I'm about a block and a half from the Atlantic Ocean. And so it's there's some differences that I have to figure out. And but I'm really looking forward to, we're going to live right there in the downtown area, close to campus. So therefore that makes you an easy connect quickly. And so I think there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But the one thing I'll be is, if you walk by me, I'm going to say hello. And if you got 2 earbuds in, I'm still going to say hello. And it's just who I am. It's just the way I'm wired, and just try to be a blessing to anyone.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Any other questions for Coach before we let him go? Looks like we're clear, Coach. I appreciate the time.
Tom,
Go rest your vocal cords now.
I appreciate. I just want to say to these guys and to you, and you guys don't understand this probably from my perspective. If you sat in my chair, you would. But Jerome Tang is a special human being. And sometimes people can do this or say this or hide here or do whatever. But at the end of the day, the reason I'm coming is because God has asked me to be there. And Coach Tang asked my wife, what's the holdup? What's the indecision? What's the biggest issue? And my wife told Coach Tang to his face, Coach, he don't want to fail you. And we know failure isn't final. It just refines you. It doesn't define you. But Coach Tang looked at my wife and he said to my wife, listen, I don't need fixed. I just have been praying for a coach because I want his help. And so it's really, really important for me to be there. And I don't even know what that looks like. And I don't know. All I know is God put me here. And after today, I'm starting to figure out why. And I'm starting to see I got you. So as amazing as this was, I'm so excited to see what's in store for going to Manhappiness and to be with Coach Tang at Kansas State. Go Cats. Hey, by the way, look at that. Right hand only. Right hand only. And
there you go.
Good. I got bad arthritis right here. I'm going to get a PRP shot. Right hand only, baby.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you. I appreciate the time today.
God bless, guys. Enjoy Coach Winchester's wedding. It's going to be a lot of fun. Coach is officiating that.
That's right. Thank you, guys. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Appreciate you guys jumping on today.